At what point in your career, athlete, circuit performer, and coach, do you say that you're best in terms of performance excellence, in terms of whatever performance excellence means to you? Which phase were you at your best?
It's a good question. I'm gonna say like the Olympics, because like I just remember preparation for the Olympics. Like I had done so much prep for that competition, to a point where, you know, me and my coaches, we would always work on different things. And, you know, I had a training diary, and I knew that I would be ready by knowing how many routines I've done in that week's training. So I would always aim to do five first routines, 5-second routines in every training session. So I build up like volume. But then I got to a point where I was able to do the routine with an extra jump in between, and I was in the corner, I knew how to get out of it, and I was so prepared in that moment that I felt pretty confident. And even though sometimes you still have those moments that you think, oh, okay, because especially like trampolining, it's just one of those sports where suddenly if you're in the wrong position, that's it, it's game over, it's the end of the routine. So it can happen, but I just felt so prepared, and I'd done so much like volume in training, that I was kind of like at my best. And like I said before, I was lucky enough to hit the best routine I could in that moment. So yeah, I would say that. But then, you know, there was moments at Cirque where there were some shows that just kind of like just flowed, and it just felt effortless. There was other shows where I was in a lot of pain, and I was just struggling. It was a struggle. But, you know, you have to find a way, right?
There's always got to be a better balance.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I think that's so interesting, because you hear a lot from people about when pressure's on, you don't rise to the occasion necessarily. You fall to how good your preparation was. And I just think it's kind of like the inconvenient truth. Still, there's a little bit of a dice roll to it to some degree, right? And especially in sports like diving, like trampolining, where a plethora of things could happen. But still, you just talking there about you just almost prepped for any eventuality. You knew you were in that space, and then you went and did the best routine of your life. It's quite telling to me that. Really.
Yeah, I think like also with it, you know, like when I was competing, I had like S&C coaches, I saw a psychologist and stuff. But I guess like ultimately my fallback, and it was just like almost like these are the basics for me. The basics are that I need to get these done for me to feel ready in the moment. And, you know, all the other things helped me to perform on the day. But ultimately, it was the amount of routines that I could do in training gave me the confidence to deliver, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it absolutely does. Mm-hmm. I can kind of compare that to what I experienced, especially in advance of Rio. Rio was our first Olympics, obviously, so we were learning in that respect, but it was also outdoor, which is always a bit treacherous. I mean, you're probably used to indoor trampoline, that you don't ever have outdoor competitions, right? No. When we dive outdoor, you got to deal with wind, you got to deal with sunlight, you got to deal with wildlife. It's all a bit of a shambles sometimes. Yeah. Oh, green pools, yeah, all of that. and that's something that I really had to prepare hard for in the entire cycle, like going to international competitions, outdoor, really throwing myself out of my comfort zone, learning to just deal with any environment possible, just so that when it came to that moment for my qualification, I could be comfortable. I could be more comfortable, or as comfortable as possible, because like I had all this experience behind me, and like nothing could faze me. Like if it rained, fine, I've dived in the rain before, not an issue. Yeah. If it was windy, doesn't matter. I know how to cope with the wind. I know what process to go through to dive in the wind. If there was birds landing in the water, like I know whether to like wait and let the bird fly off or dive. Like, it's actually something that we've had to consider.
Wow.
In Gold Coast in 2018, there was like literally a plague of moths. It was unbelievable. They were massive. It was crazy. Yeah, there was so many moths around all over the place, and it's distracting. I mean, maybe not so much for me, but for the platform divers, because the moths would be just landing on the boards. Like you're trying to concentrate, looking at a spot, and there's just these things buzzing around. So like I completely get it. Like like being able to get yourself out of a number of different situations on the trampoline to get back to the center, to be able to gave your best. And that's, I think, and maybe you can like describe your definition of excellence, but it sounds like it's just like preparation and being absolutely ready for anything.
Yeah, I think it's like, I think I go back to like one of my values is just being consistent, and that's like I take that into like my work now, and it's just simple things about I turn up at the same time every day at work, so my colleagues know that I'm there if they need me. If I'm saying I'm going to call someone, I'm going to call someone. So I learned that from sport, and I take that into like every day. So it's just doing the basics well. Like excellence is, I guess, different now than it was, and now like I juggle so many different things. Like now I'm a dad, and then going to work, and I want to be the best at all of them. There's one quote that I always kind of go back on, and it's helped me a little bit actually when I was coaching, because there were some times where I struggled when I was a coach, because like I say, I was away a lot, and the only probably it's a lot of different pressure, and I could never switch off. I was always thinking about how I can support the athletes and what I can do better, and I really found it hard to switch off, and especially then coming home and to my family and like my young son. So and I was just like, I'm not doing a good job at anything here. And then I heard this quote, and it was just on a podcast, and it was just like simple one of like just do the best you can with what you got in the moment you're in. And that just really, like, sometimes just by saying that, I'm just like, okay, it just helps, because sometimes I had to let go of that to be better at this. And that did help. That helped me, with those moments when, at that time I was going through so many different changes, like a movie, and then having a young baby, and then a new job, and traveling and stuff. So that was really helpful.